what's happening around the world and what's happening here at home.
Very good evening and welcome to Primetime News here on TV1. Today is Wednesday, the 6th of September 2023. For the News First team, I am Theruni Karnaratna.
And I'm Chandra Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Sri Lanka's proposed Broadcasting Regulatory Commission Bill directly violates the ICCPR, says the latest UN report. Channel 4 reveals details on the Easter attacks and Lasantha Vikramatunga assassination. The government dismisses the claims made by Channel 4 and is ready for an inquiry. Tear gas fired to disperse protesting university students in Peradeniya. President wants domestic debt optimization program approved before Saturday and says SLPP decided to offer 9% interest to EPF and ETF.
In your top story this evening, the latest report from the UN Human Rights Office revealed that Sri Lanka's proposed Broadcasting Regulatory Commission Bill directly violates the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, or the ICCPR.
The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, in the report on accountability released on Wednesday said the draft bill for the proposed Broadcasting Regulatory Commission raises concerns about its potential to further unduly restrict freedom of expression and appears incompatible with Article 19.3 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. The report added that draft bill for the proposed Broadcasting Regulatory Commission imposes restrictions on civil rights similar to what is executed by the Prevention of Terrorism Act. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights in the report noted that more than a year ago, mass protests demanded better governance and an inclusive vision for Sri Lanka. In short, a renewal of social contract, but the potential for a historic transformation that would address long-standing challenges is far from being realized. The report added that 14 years since the end of the war, tens of thousands of victims and their families continue to experience the pain and agony of seeking truth, justice and remedy. While the government has proposed a new truth-seeking mechanism, the report stresses that the groundwork needs to be laid by genuine efforts to create the enabling environment for any transitional justice process to succeed. Among other recommendations, the report calls on the authorities to accelerate investigations and prosecutions into emblematic cases of human rights violations as well as the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks. The High Commissioner has previously urged an independent investigation with international assistance to pursue further lines of inquiry into the full circumstances of the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks.
The Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, has called for a proper investigation to be carried out based on the facts revealed by the Channel 4 program on the Easter Sunday terror attacks. However, MP Namal Rajapaksa said that Channel 4 has a serious issue with the Rajapaksa family.
He countered these claims by questioning how it is possible for him and his family to be involved in planning such an act at a time when they appeared at the CID, FCID and other law enforcement agencies during the government of good governance and legal cases. The following is a 360 report on the controversy surrounding this latest development.
Channel 4's dispatchers released a program to reveal shocking details over the Easter Sunday attacks in Sri Lanka, which it says alleges complicity by officials from the government. The program contained details related to the Easter Sunday attacks as well as the assassination of the editor of the Sunday Leader, the late Lasantha Vikramatunga. Claims made by Hansi Razad Maulana, who at one time was a spokesperson and finance secretary of present Sri Lankan State Minister Sivanesatore Chandrakanthan, and IP Nishantha De Silva, the former head of the Organised Crimes Investigation Unit at the CID, later who fled Sri Lanka, as well as an unnamed government official are included in the program. Hansi Razad Maulana claims that he and Pillayan met the then Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa when asked to form a paramilitary death squad called the Tripoli Platoon.
He said to Pillayan, you select your best team and together work. The Tripoli working under direct command of Gotabaya. They selected people against the government and they are targeting killing. We can meet Gotabaya in his room. He put a Sunday Leader paper in the front of him. He said, this balla is singular balla mean dog. This balla is always play with me. And he says Lasantha should be killed. If you can do immediately. Soon as possible.
Former Police Inspector Nishantha Silva, also featured in the program, revealed details on the investigation surrounding the murder of Lasantha Wickramatunge that led him to the Tripoli platoon.
අධිවේදී ලසන්ත වික්‍රමතුංග මහතාගේ ඝාතනයේට ත්‍රිපෝලි කණ්ඩායමේ සමාජිකයන් විසින් ගනු ලැබූ දුරකථන පහක් සහ ඔවුන්ගේ ක්‍රියාදාමයන්ට සම්බන්ධ බවට තොරතුරු මට අනාවරණය කරගන්න පුළුවන් වුණා. ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂගේ ඍජු අධීක්ෂණයක් තියෙනවා ත්‍රිපෝලි ප්ලටූන් එක සම්බන්ධව. මම ගෝඨාභය ප්‍රශ්න කිරීම සඳහා අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවට කැඳෙව්වා. ඊට පස්සේ මගෙන් ඇහුවා ඇයි තමුන් මාව මේ ලසන්ත වික්‍රමතුංගගේ නඩුවට සැකකරුවෙක් විදිහට උසාවියට කරුණු ඉදිරිපත් කළේ කියලා. මම අනවශ්‍ය දේවල් කරන්නේ නැහැ. අවශ්‍ය දේ විතරයි කරන්නේ. හැබැයි සර් මට කවුරු වුණත් කමන්නේ මම දානවා කියලා කිව්වා. එතකොට එයා මගෙත් එක්ක ඒ තරම් හොඳ බවක් පෙන්වුවේ නැහැ.
Hanzi Razad Maulana had made a statement on how Pillan met with the Easter bombers.
Pillan told me, I have some prisoners with me, but they are very interesting people. They are very extreme. He said, you meet one person. So one prison guard walked a person. He was a dark person with beard. I say salam, he says salam, salam. The Muslims greeting, assalamu alaikum. He says, shiny Molavi. I never ever seen like these people. Because they are waiting for the death. They want death like that. They want to go paradise. But in Pillan says, this good, we use them. They are not interested in anything in the world. But we can use them.
Maulana said that on Pillan's orders, he found the men a lawyer and money for bail.
In January of the 2018, Pillan told me, you organize a meeting between Suresh Saleh and these people. Exact location name is Karadipual. After that, I give the information to that group to come to place. That's why I knew everything. I go to the place, big coconut farm. One house is there. They come a white way. 6 people get down from the vehicle. Shiny Molavi came and shake the hand and hug me and say salam. After that, introducing his brother Shahra. And he says he's our Amir. Amir means a Muslim called leader. So I introduced Suresh Saleh to them. The meeting gone long time. So meeting finished and Suresh Saleh told me, Rajapaksa need an unsafe situation in Sri Lanka. That's only the way to Gotabaya become president. So this is the meeting between them, so the terrorist group and Suresh Saleh.
Hanzi Razad Maulana also detailed an incident on the day of the Easter Sunday attacks.
Suresh Saleh called me actually. He just say, immediately you can go to the Dachamutra hotel. A person wait for you, come out, you take him into your vehicle immediately. Once you take his phone. After that, ask him where he can go and drop him. This one he can give instruction to me. But I told, sir, I wasn't particular. After Easter bomb happened, I realized the forces who the participate the meeting. First is a Shahra, suicide bomber and leader. So I knew these people already. I met them. I'm scared. Then I talked to Pillan. Then says, you shut up your mouth. You don't know anything. That's it.
Another unnamed government official made a startling claim in the Channel 4 program.
ඉස්සෙල්ලාම ඇමරිකන් FBI එකෙන් අපිට දුන්න IP address එක. මෙන්න මේ IP address එකේ කතා කරන කෙනා directly සහරාන් එක්ක සම්බන්ධකම් තියෙනවා ඒක සොයන්න කියලා. Military intelligence එකේ වැඩ කරන මුස්ලිම් සෝල්ජර් කෙනෙක්. ලොකු ඕලක කරා. එයා ඒකට facilitate කරා. suicide bus lagi, especially Sahara and enrollment
Channel 4 says the allegations in the program were put to Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Pillan. They did not respond. Channel 4 also says that Suresh Saleh denies any connection with the Easter bombings. He says he was in Malaysia at the time he is alleged to have met the NTJ members and in India at the time of the attacks. He also says that he was not operative in the defence or security structure of Sri Lanka between January 2018 and the 2019 attacks.
MP Namal Rajapaksa responded to the claims made by the Channel 4 program in Parliament.
After the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna was established and a year before the Easter Sunday attacks took place, we secured over 70% of the Pradeshiya Sabhas during the local government election. Therefore, we had no need to seek a third party or secure an election win by deviating from our policies. I must stress again, we have no such need. The JVP was very active within the government of good governance during that time. There was an anti-corruption unit, and most of the time Gotabaya Rajapaksa, myself, our family members and all those who supported our government were at the FCID. Therefore, I cannot imagine how Gotabaya Rajapaksa or the Rajapaksas had the time to trace an intelligence chief and plan the Easter Sunday attacks. One of the suicide bombers was seen on the election stage with former President Maithripala Sirisena to bring the government of good governance to power. Another was in the national list parliamentary candidates of Anurakumara Disanaika's faction. Mujibur Rahman is one who protected parliament, and saying that one person committed suicide to bring a Rajapaksa to power is not acceptable. If that was the case, all I have to say is that all of you have also aided in making Gotabaya Rajapaksa victorious. At the same time, Channel 4 has a serious issue with my family, my father and anyone with the surname Rajapaksa. Ever since the war ended in 2009, Channel 4 produced documentaries against the Rajapaksas. I do not even consider them as a media outlet. I assume it is a video production outlet. The video they produced regarding the Easter Sunday attacks premiered today. Channel 4 is once again working to settle their score with us for ending the war in 2009, or they are working to realize someone else's political aspirations. At the same time, I would like to point out that Channel 4 has taken down the video from their website. So, if they had any good reason to produce such a video, why was it deleted from their website?
State Minister of Rural Road Development Sivanesathurai Chandra attempted to file a complaint with the Criminal Investigations Department over the allegations made via Channel 4.
The officials informed me to consult the police chief and hand over the complaint with his approval. I have obtained an appointment for Thursday. I will speak with the IGP and hand over the documents.
The State Minister also spoke on the matter in Parliament.
I need to comment on the report that was produced by Channel 4. Hanzi Razad Maulana worked with me and my organization, and in order to secure asylum and some form of stability in life, he is engaged in the spread of false propaganda. He had officially got permission from our organization to migrate with his family, citing that he cannot live here and needs to solve some issues. After going overseas a year ago, he made this controversial statement. We are well aware of what Channel 4 has done to our country and our people in the past. In order to achieve petty political gains, on Tuesday, certain MPs had mentioned my name several times. I am disappointed about it. The deceased ISIS leader al-Baghdadi once said that these attacks were carried out by ISIS bombers, and they officially claimed responsibility for the attacks on their Hamad website. My disappointment and fear lies with the fact that those who pledged to kill themselves in the name of religion to al-Baghdadi are still in prison or out in the open. There are certain institutions that influence them to achieve their death in the name of religion. There are certain political and international forces linked to this. ISIS is a very serious organization with many masterminds. They are well funded. I wonder whether the members in this house are making various statements to put the country's national security at risk once again. Therefore, as responsible people, we need to learn from the lessons and form a security network that can be taken forward. We cannot accept the fact that these matters of false propaganda, which are spread to achieve petty political gains, are being debated. Some MPs are discussing the fact of summoning me for questioning and stripping me of my position. The Speaker must look into this. From 2015 to 2020, I was in prison. There are some members who went to prison here as well. There are those who may have learned about the prisons. It is astounding if an act like this can be carried out from within prison walls. In this program, Azad had admitted that he attended the first meeting with Zahran. Therefore, as the opposition leader said, we must call for an international inquiry to record a statement from Maulana and investigate him as well.
Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, has called for a proper investigation to be carried out based on the facts revealed by the Channel 4 program on the Easter Sunday attacks. Speaking to reporters, he said that an unbiased and honest investigation cannot be expected from a parliamentary select committee, as announced by Minister Manusha Nanakara.
Appointing such a select committee will only lead to a waste of public funds and time and be an exercise of simply misleading the public. For this reason, we do not endorse such a strategy and reject that plan outright. What according to us needs to happen urgently is, number one, the holding of a free, impartial, just, transparent and broad-based investigation into what the Channel 4 television network revealed in its program, the alleged plot behind that tragedy, and all facts and a study of the persons mentioned in that program, especially with regard to their role in this mass murder. And also investigations should be carried out on the findings outlined in the various commission reports already presented and recommendations stated there need to be implemented fully. Number two, this investigation should take place through an independent international investigation team. Number three, that international team should be assisted by all those Sri Lankan officials of the CID whose services were originally sought by the government and who were transferred away from the investigations to other areas and posts by biased political authority. Number four, since these fresh investigations need to be independent, all those officials who in the police and the intelligence services coming under investigation on this matter and who hold high positions presently should be suspended forthwith. We wish to urge all former and present day officials in the police and intelligence as well as security services who are aware of other facts that may be relevant to the case to come out courageously in order to give witness to facts known to them relevant to the case.
පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරය සම්බන්ධයෙන් චැනල් 4 නාලිකාව ඉදිරිපත් කරපු වාර්තාව ඔබ වහන්සේ පිළිගන්නවද නැද්ද?
මම මේ channel 4 වාර්තාව විමර්ශනයක් කරලා පිළිගන්න සූදානම්. නැත්නම් එහෙම විමර්ශනයක් නොකර පිළිගන්න සූදානම් නැහැ.
Speaking to reporters, the Archbishop of Colombo also noted that he had never endorsed a politician.
දැන් ඊයේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ
The leader of the opposition told the parliament yesterday that I called to vote against him. I have never made such a claim. I challenge him to prove that. After nominations were handed over for the election, none of them were allowed to enter this house. I never told to vote for Gotabaya, Sajid Premadasa or Anura Kumara Dissanayake. It was a minister who spread a statement claiming that I worked for that party and Gotabaya, and he was a powerful Catholic minister. He is the one who started this rumour. Another person joined him to claim that I was rooting for Gotabaya. But who are those two rooting for now? Whose ministers are they now? These two people came for a discussion with me. They do not speak of that. I am disgusted with these political leaders.
ඉතින් මේ දේශපාලන නායකයන් ගැන මගේ සිතේ තියෙන ලොකු පිළිකුලක්.
Priyantha Bandaranaike, Sri Lanka's State Minister of Defence, said that a committee will be appointed to probe the contents of the Channel 4 program.
On the 20th of April 2019, these suicide bombers, while at Span Towers, Mount Lavinia, had issued another pledge to establish a caliphate and issued a video. I wish to table two videos at this moment. One is the original in Tamil and the other is with the Sinhala translation. What is amusing and astounding is that the video highlighting the intentions of the bombers has been disregarded and the blame is being passed on from one faction to another. It is my personal view that this highlights the level of our politics and society and poverty. The President and the government reached a decision to appoint a committee to investigate the contents of the Channel 4 video. It was also discussed in the cabinet. The President and the government hopes to appoint a committee that will allow witnesses to provide evidence via Zoom from overseas if they cannot return to the country. What is amusing here is that a Muslim pregnant woman and 9 men carried out suicide attacks to bring a Sinhala Buddhist leader to power. These things can only happen in Sri Lanka and in Indian cinema. The former Attorney General made a statement in this regard while serving as the Attorney General, and now he is hiding behind the courts. We hope to summon the former Attorney General before a Parliamentary Select Committee for him to produce his evidence. The Parliamentary Select Committee will be represented by the government and opposition. If the former Attorney General had information regarding these allegations, we would be able to act on it.
Sri Lankan opposition leader Sajid Premadasa commented on the matter in Parliament.
Is the mastermind of the Easter Sunday attacks in government? What is the truth? When His Eminence the Cardinal speaks about the Easter attacks, he is slandered. I heard that the government is to appoint a select committee. We wonder if the mastermind of the Easter attacks will be appointed as the chairman of the select committee. The rulers who came using the blood of the victims have failed to reveal the truth. This can only be solved by a transparent effort with both local and international intervention and international investigation. We need to know if the masterminds are in this government.
අපිට දැනගන්න ඕන මේ මහමොල කරුවන් මේ ආණ්ඩුවේ ඉන්නවද නැද්ද කියන කාරණාව.
Meanwhile, the Jatika Jana Balawegaya stated that a proper investigation into the revelations made regarding the Easter Sunday terror attacks should take place.
We saw
photos of Gotabaya Rajapaksa with the person who made these revelations. We also saw photos of him with Pillayan. He himself admitted that he was very close with Pillayan. However, now with all the details that are being revealed, it is very clear who the mastermind behind these attacks is. The motive of this attack is also very clear. They have directly pointed their finger at the head of intelligence, Suresh Saleh. Suresh Saleh was appointed as soon as Gotabaya Rajapaksa came into power. He has revealed that Saleh was there during the initial stages of the conspiracy. As soon as Gotabaya Rajapaksa became president, Suresh Saleh was made the head of intelligence. That makes it clear to the citizens of the country that these two incidents are interconnected. Minister of Defence Ranil Wickremesinghe should take action immediately, remove them from their positions and commence an independent investigation in this regard to apply the law to the accused. As Jatika Jana Balawegaya, I must state that actions should be immediately taken against the masterminds of this attack.
News first with the people.
Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe has called for the government's domestic debt optimization program to be approved by Saturday.
The President joined Wednesday's Parliament session to make the request and to also table the Supreme Court determination on the Inland Revenue Amendment Bill.
The Sri Lankan Supreme Court in its determination on the Inland Revenue Amendment Bill notes that banks, primary dealers and other corporations are already paying income taxes at the rate of 30%. It added that what is envisaged in this bill is the EPF and ETF would have to pay an income tax of 30%, or in the alternative they are given an incentive or concession where they will only be paying 14% if they opt for the domestic debt optimization as proposed. The Supreme Court notes that granting incentives, concessions for the survival and revival of the country's economy is clearly a reasonable exercise of the executive policy as endorsed by the legislature. It added that there is institutional incapacity in the courts to reassess and reappraise the above policy decisions in the event evidence to the contrary is unavailable. In the circumstances, the court perceives a rationale underlying the differentiation that this court is not irresistibly driven to the conclusion that the policy is manifestly unreasonable. The Supreme Court says that in the circumstances, the Parliament, which has full control of public finance in terms of Article 148 of the Constitution, is at liberty to make reasonable classification. The Supreme Court noted that the focus of inquiry in the proceedings is the consistency of the provisions in the impugned bill with the Constitution. In the FR application, there was no such inquiry which is sui generis or unique to invocation of jurisdiction under Article 121 of the Constitution. Moments after the Supreme Court determination was announced, we were asked if the amendments could be taken up by the Select Committee. That was not possible as it has only been a few minutes since you announced the determination. This needs to be discussed at least for a few days and no analysis was done. The Supreme Court has sent it back to Parliament. Parliament means the Committee on Public Finance. How can we discuss this in Parliament in the absence of the data? The President is also here. Do you recall the opposition leader making a statement on the economic crisis that was about to happen? Some laughed at him for that. The opposition leader said that if we continued with the Rajapaksa policies, this is what would happen. And it happened. Now you say that if the DDO is not approved, with or without the analysis, it would lead to that. The Committee on Public Finance should not be merely a rubber stamping body. The Committee on Public Finance must be given reasonable time time to analyze the information.
ආධාරණ කාලයක් අවස්ථාව දෙන්නට ඕන.
The court has gone through everything and given a decision. The House is now tasked with approving this. We need to complete all this by next week. If we don't, all of this will collapse, and I state it with responsibility. I took over a country that was in disarray. When others said no to the post of Prime Minister and fled in fear, I took over this task. Please give the opportunity to do so.
ඔබතුමා වාඩි ඔබතුමා කියනකට මම ඇහුවනේ කරුණාකරලා වාඩි වෙන්න. මම
I have brought this forward. This will not harm the EPF. We have agreed to award an interest rate of 9%. I did not decide on the 9%, and it was decided by the SLPP government before I was made the Prime Minister. It was decided by the SLPP government. Those who were party to that decision are on that side as well, as are those who are on this side. Do not put that on me. This needs to be taken forward. Did we not agree that when we went to Washington, I would go inside the World Bank and you would stay out and scream, and later we will have dinner together? That is not an issue.
ලංකාවත් දැන් වාර්තාවක්
Sri Lanka has set a new record to remove the primary dealers, private bondholders and the banking system to restructure the domestic debt and place that burden on the 2.4 million working people. This is an attempt to pickpocket the EPF. We do not engage in deal-making or pickpocket politics. Because we cannot engage in pickpocketing, we did not enter into any deals. Since the deals were sealed, now they say that they took over the responsibility. They did so to loot from the people.
මේ රටේ වැඩ කරන ජනතාවගේ බඩට ගහන්න. වාර්තාව එනකන් අපි විවාදය ආරම්භ කරු හැන්දෑවට. ජනතාව පොඩකින්ද? ජනතාව පොඩකින්ද? නැගිටලා යනවනේ. විවාදය ආරම්භ කරමු හැන්දෑවට. ඔව්. ජනතාව මේ කමිටුව අතර ඇස් වෙලා හෙට හැබැයි මේ ජනතාව මේ ඉන්නේ කියද්දි නැගිටලා ගියා.
The president left. I must note that the president read out the Supreme Court determination when this matter was taken up in court. A ruling party member said that the court taking up the matter was a privilege issue. You as the speaker said that it is only parliament that can decide on domestic debt restructuring. I wish to note that your statement impacted the court decision directly and indirectly.
හොඳ ප්‍රබුද්ධ තීන්දුව తీරන වලට එන්න පුළුවන්.
Power of the parliament, that's all. They are nothing. I have not gone into the judicial matters, right? No, what he says is the member who had appeared for that case had not been submitted the required information.
Trade unions met with the central bank governor today and discussed the impact of the domestic debt optimization on the superannuation funds.
The employee funds, including the EPF, are said to be looted, and I deny that. EPF fund balances will not be affected through domestic debt restructuring. I can assure you that. On the other hand, the government is also assuring that the current percentage, which is 9%, can increase further. We believe that it can be done.
ඒ විශ්වාසය කොහේ හරි ලීගලි කියන්න පුළුවන්ද නැත්නම් විශ්වාසය ඔබතුමාගේ ප්‍රකාශයක් විතරද විශ්වාසයද කොහෙද ලියවිලා තියෙන්නේ ඒ විශ්වාසය අනුමත කරලා තියෙනවා ඊළඟ නීතිය වෙනස් කරනවා කියලා මේක විශ්වාසයක්ද නීති අනුව 100%ට අඩුවෙන් දෙන්නම බැරිද වෙනස් කරනවා කියලා රජය පොරොන්දු වෙලා තියෙනවා ඔබතුමා දැන් ඉකොනොමිස්ට් නේ ඒ නිසා මම අහන්නේ ණයබරතාවය අපි අඩු වෙනවද මේ ඔබතුමා ගත ක්‍රියාමාර්ගය ඔබතුමාලා ගත ක්‍රියාමාර්ගය කරේ නැත්නම් ණය නේ මම කරේ නැත්නම් නේ මගේ ප්‍රශ්නේ අඩු වෙනවද කියලා මම අහන්නේ ඉන්න මගේ මම උත්තරයක් දෙන්න ඔව් කරේ නැත්නම් ණය සස්ටේනබල් නෑ ණය ගෙවන්න බැරි වෙනවා නේ නේ මං අහන්නේ මේ කිරීමෙන් ණයබරතාවය අඩු වෙනවද රටේ කියලා ණය සස්ටේනබල් නැති නිසා තමයි මගේ ප්‍රශ්නේ සරලයි මේ ගත ක්‍රියා නෑ නෑ මගේ උත්තර සරලයි ණයබරතාවය මම අහන්නේ ණයබරතාවය අඩු වෙනවද සස්ටේනබල් වෙනවා අඩු වෙනවද කියලා මම අහන්නේ සස්ටේනබල් වෙනවා කියන්නේ අඩු වෙනවා අඩු රයිට් හරි අඩු වෙනවා
The port trade unions engaged in a protest opposite the Colombo port main entrance. The protest was held to condemn the actions of the government on the Employee Provident Fund and raising several other demands, including the increase of gratuity payments.
The EPF and ETF have given 26% of credit to the government, and that is 26% of the total of domestic loans. The balance of 74% was taken from 3 other parties. Those 3 parties are the banks, primary traders and capitalists. The government's domestic debt optimization is irrelevant to those 3 parties. They are preparing to only offer 9% interest on the funds from the EPF. Is this fair?
Police fired tear gas to disperse a protest organised by the Students' Union of the University of Peradeniya.
The protest had been organized under the theme Get Rid of the Report That Ruins Free Education, with many other demands. The students were preparing to march from the University of Peradeniya to the Kandy Junction when they were obstructed by the police near the State Pharmaceutical Corporation building along the Colombo-Kandy main road. Later, the police fired tear gas to disperse the protest.
Climate change is here, and it's time to do something about it. This was the enduring theme at the Asia Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management Symposium held in Colombo yesterday.
The APAD International Symposium saw over 150 delegates from many countries across Asia, representing governments, global organizations and the private sector, participate in the conference. Japan's ambassador to Sri Lanka, Mizukoshi Hideki, was the chief guest.
The world is now faced with complex crises, including the climate crisis, and it is true that emerging and developing countries and people in vulnerable circumstances in the global south have been significantly affected by these crises. We will continue to play an important role, not only as a creditor nation, but also as a long-standing friend of Sri Lanka, working closely with the IMF World Bank.
Country Director of APAD Sri Lanka, Firzan Hashim, touched on the future of the fight against climate change.
Climate crisis is a child right crisis. Children bear the greatest burden of climate change. Children and youth can be catalysts for climate action, and we need to include them. The future is in our hands, and let's make a difference.
Several lively panel discussions clearly made the point that solutions need to be climate smart and innovative, and that a multi-stakeholder approach is essential to climate risk reduction. Speaking at the forum, Director General of the Disaster Management Centre, retired Major General Sudhantha Ranasinghe, highlighted that the government alone cannot work towards tackling climate change in Sri Lanka.
The government alone cannot do this. Had it been possible today, we wouldn't have been sitting here like this. So it's the collaborative action what we are expecting, reaching the last man, leaving no one behind.
Country manager of the World Bank, Cheo Kanda, commented on the impact of climate agendas on financing.
In addition to those raising more funds, I think it is important that we shouldn't forget how to better and best use even existing resources. Not just focusing on a specific climate-oriented financing, but basically mainstream climate agenda in the entire financing we have. Not just the obvious candidates like environmental, disaster risk management, infrastructure and energy, but also education, health, financial sector. Take a local actions with a global perspective.
Advisor to the President on Environment, Climate Change and Green Finance, Dr. Anand Malvathantri, explained why Sri Lanka cannot tap green financing for the time being.
So now we are on IMF package with certain conditions. One of the conditions is that until IMF process gets settled and negotiations complete, the country cannot go and tap too much innovative financing. Around November, the government is trying to complete the IMF process negotiations. So at that point, Sri Lanka can start negotiating the climate SOPs, nature SOPs and many other impact financing.
Senior Vice President of Virtusa Corporation, Denver De Silva, coined the term the 7 Ps in his submission.
I believe in the 7 Ps principle, which is this cannot be done alone. What will work is a focused effort of private-public partnership with a purpose and a passion for people and planet.
The APAD International Symposium concluded with a promise for public-private cooperation in battling climate change that is now a threat to the global environment.
Day 17 of the second leg of the LOLC Divi Savya program got underway today, centering schools in the Kakirava and Galembindunuvava education zones in the Anuradhapura district.
During the first leg of the LOLC Divisavya program, school books and stationery items were provided to over 1,000 schools with less than 50 students. The second leg of the program aims to provide school books and stationery items to schools with less than 100 students. Students will be given school books and stationery for a period of 1 year under the program. This worthy initiative is a collaboration between the LOLC Group and the Ministry of Education. Students from schools including the Tamil Baptist Missionary School, Ihalakagama School, Ramadagala School, Pahalakan Hindagama School, Hettiava School and the Diyamailagasvava School were gifted school books and stationery items this morning. The LOLC Divisavya program will continue to create a bright future for the country's student population.
And with that, wrap up Primetime News for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. For News First team, I'm Sandhu Ferdinando.
And I'm Theruni Karunaratna. Do stay tuned to News First as Praise the Nation is coming up next. Take care and good night.